My name is Lila, and I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Glenn. Let me see if I can make this screen a little more acceptable to me. I guess not. Okay. I got sober on October 1st, 1969, the hole in the ground in Huntington Park, California. And I have worked hard to stay sober without finding it necessary to do anything from the neck up other than what was medically necessary in the 54 plus years that I have been on this program. I do speak less and less and less. I don't know why. I suppose because the most productive, quiet, peaceful, changing years of my sobriety have been in the last maybe 10 years. There's no measurement in AA about any of it. I think people change as they do. And that, the change in perception happens all the time, as long as you have the privilege of knowing how to stay sober. Congratulations on your 5 months, Brenda. I hope that you stay with us. And of course, Lori and the other Brenda, on your time. It's always a slow start for me lately. I just wait for God to show up. I'm not spiritually evolved enough to say that I have a God that I can describe to you. You would think, with all these years of sobriety, I should be able to do that. On the contrary. But I do have, for me, my GOD, Ghosts on Demand. And that is the collection of all my ancestors that have gone on before me, my family, Jane's family, that have gone on during my time alive on this planet. My brother, my sister, all of us that made it and all of us that did not. And of course, the people that I so miss, because I probably now have more friends in the big meeting in the sky than I do on this planet. And so that collection of energy and love, I fold into that on a regular basis. And consequently, without any apology to anyone, because I am not interested in what your God of your understanding is, but I am supremely interested in having a relationship with a God of my understanding. And that is all that is required of me. It's interesting, I've never seen this blue card before, Glenn should know better than to flash something in front of me that I may never have seen before, for God's sake, go off on some big, huge tangent about it. I'm grateful that I got sober in the late 60s because, I'm one of those real honest to God alcoholics, except for the fact that I did try marijuana, the little hashish or some crap that they used to put in it. And I don't know, it kind of interfered with my drinking, to be perfectly honest with you. It made me hungry, made me laugh compulsively, and it made me want tacos. And I had a special place for tacos. The police went to the same place for their tacos. It was not a good situation for me. And so I really wasn't really what you'd call any drug thing. And now they talk about drugs, and it sounds to me like they're talking about jewelry and stuff. I have no idea what anybody's talking about whatsoever. However, do not misunderstand. I am so, 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 so grateful that people who I would be hard pressed to think that there's very many people in Alcoholics Anonymous today that haven't done a bit of a lot of things. And if I were getting sober today, there is no question in my mind that I would have tried a whole bunch of things. I don't know that I would have survived them because of the nature by which I drank and the nature of my compulsive addiction. But, I'm very conscious of my allergy to alcohol, but I am also very conscious of my need and my inner self and the fact that I will do anything to escape. So yes, I'm one of these people. I read your blue card and I think to myself, I will never not listen to anything that anybody has to say in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm going to hope to God that they have the respect for Alcoholics Anonymous to talk about their drinking, or the first person that's going to start heavy breathing and folding their arms like all the other curmudgeons in the meeting will be me. But I'm counting on that. I'm counting on the fact that this is a new world that we live in now. Look at Zoom. Look at us talking to each other in this manner. Are you kidding? I mean, the things that I have noticed and seen in the 50 plus years, it's been extraordinary. The only thing I know for absolute sure, and this is one of these talks I can already tell you, I mean, it's disjointed from the beginning, but I can tell you that the only thing that I know for certain is that AA is going to survive us all. It's going to survive us all. It's going to survive every blue card rule and regulation we've ever had. I mean, now somebody just recently told me they're trying to I don't know, change the big book in some way so that they can rewrite some of it so that, who the hell cares? Do you think that when I got off that bathroom floor, ended up on the couch, knowing that I didn't care whether I lived or died? In fact, I was hoping that that little tiny candle inside my soul, I'm a Catholic, obviously, you're raised in Ireland, for Christ's sake, how could you not be a Catholic? We only had Catholics and white people when I was here, This is a country where, between the raindrops was like madness, secrets and all sorts of things. And here I am, now sober all these years, and I reflect, I can't help it. I can't help but look back and think, look what has happened from the day that I went from the bathroom floor to the couch, to the day that I fell out of my car and ended up in the meeting with the hole in the ground, to the day that those old guys got hold of me, to the day that whoever the hell the greeter was became your sponsor until you could get one, but you never left the meeting without one, to the day that if you didn't have the big book and the 12 and 12 in the back of the trunk of your car, you were criticized. Where the hell is your big book? What if you run into somebody that needs one? I still, to this day, carry a big book in the trunk of the car. Never know. You never know. The habits of sobriety that we were taught at the beginning, I believe, is the reason that I'm still here. The 4 things that they tell you before you even know that you even want to stay. Well, the first thing they do is when you fall in the door, they point you to a seat that you're going to sit in, and you don't even know for like maybe a week later that you're in the seizure row with the big book. Sit over there on that seat where those big books are. You're in the seizure room. And sure enough, a meeting wouldn't go by now without somebody, off they go, wallet, spoon, bing, back. And the minute you sit down, they offer you a Coca-Cola. And they say to you, drink this Coca-Cola as fast as you can. And then somebody rushes down with a Hershey bar and suggests, in the kindest way, that you eat that Hershey bar as fast as you can. Because you see, there wasn't a preponderance of places to go of different levels, depending on whatever your mood was. I mean, it makes me laugh. You can go somewhere to improve your serenity now and engage with a horse. Lay around in the sunshine. I fell out of my car, looked around to make sure nobody saw that I had fallen. I had 2 seconds within which to make the decision, am I going into that room or am I not? I happened to fall in. I got grabbed by a greeter who drove me nuts for weeks. They call you. How you doing? How you doing? See you tomorrow. I went back to that meeting whether I had no conception. If you don't believe in miracles, go back to the first few days of your sobriety and ask yourself, why the hell did I go back there? I went back night after night. About the 3rd night in, I didn't get the Coca-Colas or the chocolate bars anymore. About a week or so later, I got moved back a few rows, and I resented that I wasn't in the front row anymore. I thought I was important. I learned everything in the first few weeks because I felt the spirit of Alcoholics Anonymous. I felt later when I understood what they meant by drink this as fast as you can. We didn't have rehabilitation places all over the place. I don't know what existed and didn't. We didn't have insurance. If anyone knew that I was a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I would for certain have lost my job. It was a secret. It wasn't medically approved at that time, a couple of years later. It was different. And we survived it. And it was hardcore. I mean, these people would say to you, I thought I'm staying for 3 weeks till I get back in the saddle and everything's going to be great. I'm going to be myself. I'm going to get my energy back. Everything's going to be terrific, and I won't sunburn myself when I step out of the house now because, I'm just going to be great and everything's going to be good and that's it. And I'll do the best I can to stay here. And do you think that for the first few days, and I went every night, from 8:30 to 10, and then they never let you go because somebody was having a birthday or some celebration, and they didn't ask you. They just sort of like escorted you to their car, took you to wherever this little apartment was where they were celebrating this, whatever the hell was going on. They served ice cream cake. I don't know who had this fascination with ice cream cake, but the pain you can get from ice cream cake when you're newly sober, your body is completely wrecked. You have no clue. You're sweating green. You can feel your eyelashes hurting from growing because you're just getting sober. You can't even believe you're there. And then they have this pain shooting up your jaw because they're feeding you ice cream cake after the meeting. And I went back every night. And then they told me the 4 things that I was going to have to know in order to stay sober. Brenda. I think her name was Brenda, the 5 months welcome. Number 1, can't drink for the rest of your life. Can you imagine saying that to somebody new? I don't hesitate. How you do that is 1 day at a time. That was a shock. Already I'm counting the days down, thinking, doesn't matter to me. And the second thing you have to do is you're going to have to attend meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous for the rest of your life. Now, how you do that is 1 meeting at a time. I don't know how not to go to meetings. I'd be afraid if I didn't, to be honest with you. And then they tell you, they used to have 2 of us. Then they tell you that you have to read the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, and eventually the 12 and 12. And that you are going to be reading this material for the rest of your life. And how you're going to do that is 1 page at a time. I have never not read that book, and I read it all the time, and the 12 and 12, where I have not learned something on the day that I open it. Never. It has changed with me. The miracle of the big book and the 12 and 12 in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous is that it is a change in perception every bloody time you open it. If you have not had that experience, I suggest you go try to practice having it. And this is why maybe I don't talk anymore, right? I mean, who the hell needs these lectures? And then they told me that you had to find a God, they mentioned the word God, a God of your own understanding, and that would take you the rest of your life 1 day at a time. I have never forgotten those 4 things. And Glenn is right, sober a little bit of time, you get it all going on, and you're thinking to yourself, Jesus, I'm thinking I remember being alone in the house once in my kitchen, and the AA people had just come over. When we got sober, they sent a couple of people over to your house. They sent them over. And what were they coming for? Well, they were coming to remove any of the stuff you had hidden and the bottles that you had put away and the I don't know, the concoctions that I used to make in the refrigerator, which was a residual of all the booze that was left over after anything was going on. I just put it in a bottle and figured, boy, this is going to be great someday, create my own shebeen. And I was going to like blow the top of my head off as soon as I had a drink of that stuff, which most of the time that's how it worked. Can you imagine having bottles that you would create with leftover booze in the, okay. So then they take all of that and you beg them, you beg them, you beg, please, can't I just give it away? I know people upstairs that would really appreciate this. No, 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 no. They make you pour it out or they make you take it to the trash can and they make you hear the sound as the bottles crash and spill in the Dipsy dumpster. That's what they did. And then when you think that that's over, oh, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. Then they clean out your refrigerator for you and they neaten up your house. And they show you how to make the bed. And they tell you things like you're going to have to clean out your car. We're not doing that. Get rid of the bottles and all that kind of thing. And then they tell you like you have to shower every single day. Can you imagine telling that to an Irish person every single day? Are you kidding me? I mean, but get used to it. We have enough rain here. We don't have to shower every single day. I look at it now and I think, thank God for that. And then just when you think they're going to leave you alone, not that they do when you go into the meetings, because the greeter's always there to greet you. Welcome back, welcome back. Now, do you have enough literature? And do you have the book in the car? And do you have, oh, Jesus, how we survived. And then 2 women would come to your house. And they'd sit you down, and they would ask you for all the bills you had in the house and all your financial stuff. And you had to go find this stuff, and then you find out how bankrupt you really are, because I don't know what it was like now, but everybody came in with nothing. I never mailed the bills. I wrote them, put them in boxes, never mailed them. That did not prevent me from spending the money down the road in the various places I went, so they wouldn't know how much I drank, and I had to go to a few places. And they sat me down and they instructed me, a genius of tremendous potential when I joined AA. They instructed me on like how to pay like, I don't know, a few dollars to this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. And then they told me that they're going to follow up on it. Now that's a lie, because we lie to a bunch of things with newcomers at those days. We tell them pretty much anything we needed to tell them to keep them sober, but they never did come back. But that doesn't mean that I didn't think they were going to come back. So I actually followed the rules. I attribute my financial security to this day. To this day. The ups and the downs to those women. I contribute every time I've fallen down and getting up to somebody that I listened to in the first beginnings of my sobriety, who did something that I thought I would never be able to do, who survived something that I thought I would never be able to survive. I think the number one most important thing to do in a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous when you walk in the door and leave your own personality and personal bullshit out in the parking lot is to walk in with that open mind that we're supposed to have and sit there and listen. Listen. Do nothing but listen. How I have learned to listen in meetings without judgment, without worry, without blame. Oh, the compassion I have felt for my other alcoholics. And yes, and Glenn, hold on to your seat now. I mean, the new person is not, in my opinion, the most important person in the room. Sure. They are, because they're new and we have to take care of them and get them going. What about the guy that's been coming all those years? What about the man that I sat beside in that Brentwood meeting for year after year after year when he got Parkinson's and he couldn't move, and he said to me, Lila, the day's coming when I won't be coming back. What about the person that sits in that seat to be of service day after day, year after year? What about the people that fall down and get up? What about the years that come in your sobriety when you're going to lose the people you love? What about the day that comes when you're going to lose them because of their addiction and they're your family and you're sober a shitload of years and you can't save them? What starts to happen when you lose your best friends for 48 and 50 years that you've talked to every 10 days? You have to be prepared for that. So the first thing we prepare people for in Alcoholics Anonymous, in my opinion, is at the beginning. There's a saying in Ireland. Oh, I'm so grateful, by the way, just as an distraction, to be back in my own country. What a privilege it is to be able to be home. Now, Jane and I have good fortune. We live part of the year in Santa Monica, California, and the other part of the year in Killarney, Ireland. I mean, come on. I still think it's a dream. I still walk out there and talk to the trees and let them talk back to me and think, Jesus, I can't believe I'm home. Walking in the footsteps of my ancestors. It took 10, almost 8, maybe years of being here in Ireland before the pain of my life, the missing of my country when I was a young girl and taken away, having never spent a night that wasn't in my nana's bed in Galway or my granny's bed in Dublin. Because my mother was having a lot of children and she'd go to the country to have them. And so they would be in the big stone house, but I was taken because I was, number one, very special. Absolutely adored. The one, when you're the first in Ireland, you're everything, for God's sake. You're only, like if you were a guy, you'd get the farm. But in my case, I was super special. I would have gotten everything. It wouldn't have mattered, But the fact of the matter is, I was adored. I was loved. I didn't know. And then I was, bam, in Toronto, Canada. And then in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. That's a whole other story. And then before you know it, in the 60s, we're in all there is A to Z in the US of A in Azusa, California. And then, things got better and life got better and blah, blah, blah. We're in West Covina, California. Can you imagine what goes on in the mind of a budding alcoholic? I know I was going to go back to something really important a few minutes ago, but it's advantages of being 77 years of age that you don't give a damn whether you go back or not. The privilege of aging is that it's not important. The privilege of aging is a sober woman, being sober a ton of years. It's just whatever is happening right now is everything that's happening right now, and I'm grateful for everything that's happening right now, so I don't give a damn. You don't think I'm in preparation for the last few years of our life, my life? That I know what it means when they say it's an inside job, that you have to be spiritually fit contingent upon the day? You don't think, I don't think about tomorrow at all. I just remembered what I was going to tell you a few minutes ago about those people. There's a saying in Ireland, never fear the wind when your own haystacks are tied down. That's what they did for me at the beginning of my sobriety. They helped me understand you have a barnyard and you're going to be filling this up with chickens and things and whatever you've got. And you have a haystack and you tie that down and the wind will not take it away. You will not have to be afraid. And they showed me how to do that. They showed me how to be manageable. They showed me that the first step was, yes, the half of it was that I was an alcoholic. The half of it is that I have an allergy. The half of it. But the other half is that I'm a person that cannot afford to be unmanageable. And consequently, that will be the job of my lifetime. And that's what I'm going to use these steps for. How to have a manageable life. And that's what they showed me to do. And along the way, as I learned from more people, different people, I had the privilege of having a sponsor that actually ended up saying to me, look, I'm not sure that I'm enough for you. There's some people on the west side I'd like you to meet. They talk about all sorts of airy-fairy things. You might like to meet some of those people. Can you imagine having a person like that? The angels, the guides. And so I learned the other great thing that my own country people have said in the days gone by in my youth. Light your own lamp and you will never fear the darkness. And so all these people have taught me how to light my own lamp. And do you know that in the times when I have needed to know that I was all right, I can in my own mind's eye look out, and in the road, on the path, in the broad highway of Alcoholics Anonymous, in my mind, I can see 1,000 lights, 1,000 lamps, all the way to the big meeting in the sky, all the way up there, all the way everywhere. And I think, oh, and from the light that shines back on me, I know I'm all right. Just because one bunch of little alcoholics in a meeting held up that little lamp and over the years have shown me how to keep it lit. And now I know all of you in your little boxes and all of you in your meetings and all of you all over the world have your own little lamps. And all I have to do is imagine that I'm just a little lamp in a field of lamps. And oh God, isn't it comforting? Anyway. You know, I could summarize my entire sobriety in 3 statements. Because that is where I am today, and I know it. Because today I live in the solution and not the problem. And I can tell you that for years and years, I was so busy solving these problems, solve the problem, make yourself do whatever. You know, you're not enough. Well, that's a problem. Everybody's not enough, for God's sake. Do you know anybody that joined Alcoholics Anonymous that thought they were enough? Only the people that really aren't enough that want to tell you how you should be enough. So I'm, you know, you're fixing yourself. I don't do that anymore. It's been a long time since I have dwelt on the problems. You know, the best thing I ever heard years ago, and they used to say it all the time. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do about that, blah, 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 blah. And they said, well, just act as you know what you're doing. Just as if you've been to that event and you know how it works. Act as if. How many times in my life have I actually acted as if, running businesses and doing all these things? If only they should have known. Oh, she's so smart. Runs a great. I'm acting as if, for Christ's sake. Can't you guys all see it? I'm hoping to God that God shows up. I'm hoping that the angels that I used to bring with me to the meetings fill the room. So the 3 statements that I now live in, because I live in the question of life. I am so not interested in the answer. It will reveal itself when I am ready. And if I interfere and worry about that in advance, I am harming myself. I don't have the strength to harm myself anymore. So the most important thing for me now, and I am practicing it. If you took the 12 and 12 in the big book and you took the word practice and shook it and the word practice fell out, Christ, we wouldn't have a program. One of the things I appreciate the most about the literature of Alcoholics Anonymous is the redundancy. Repeat, repeat, repeat. Is there anything that I'm saying that you haven't heard before? So I live in I don't know. I don't know. Help me. Thank you. That's my entire life. My life and my program are the same, by the way. I am the same in my home as I am in a meeting. I'm not different. I hope I'm not anyway. I don't know. Can you help me? Thank you. I do the thank you in advance. Because when you're sober, as long as I am, you know you're going to get the answer if you ask for it. So if you say, help me, you're going to get the answer and you're going to say thank you anyway. So I'm thanking you now because I know it's going to happen. I expect miracles. I expect change. I have put in the legwork on how to do this the right way, the wrong way, your way, my way, their way, the way it should be, to drop the thing, Christ Almighty, there's so many ways that we can do this. And then guess what happens? If you're really, really lucky, and if you're somebody like me, you're going to find your own way. And that's what this 12 and 12 is for you to find your own way. And let me tell you, one of the reasons you might want to rush in there, I just had this open because I had it for another person, blah, blah, blah. On page 79 at the end, it says, in many instances, we find that though harm done others has not been great, the emotional harm we have done ourselves has. Very deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. And then they go on to tell you a whole bunch of other stuff. You should read that. It happens to be in step 8, which if you're like me in any way respect, step 8 and 9 have become the biggest shadows that you could ever cast on your life. So good luck with all those people. Below the level of consciousness. You don't think that as a little person, perceiving all these things that I did, seeing them the way that I did, leaving the countries, the missing, the pain of it, becoming the quiet reader. You don't think that that little person inside of me, this me, you don't think that below the level of my consciousness I was already forming all I ever needed, so that when I had the allergy to alcohol and I put that two things together, my God Almighty. Oh, isn't it wonderful they've stopped drinking. You tell me it's wonderful when you stopped drinking. I'm glad you stopped. But now here's the way you stopped. We have a plan here. We have a plan. And if you want it, you can have it. Because the only thing you have to have is a desire. And from once you have that desire, and if you hear anything that I'm saying to you today, and if you relate in any way to the fact that this is a spiritual program, oh my God, you're done, you're cooked. Because it won't leave your mind until you do something about it. Because now when you go back and you look at the book, you won't be reading it for somebody else. You'll be looking for yourself, and you'll find yourself. And I don't care, as Lori knows, whether we're 48 years or 34 years, Brenda. God knows how many years we are. Have I not opened the book and I find myself every single time? Sure, and there's a problem they'll tell you about. And then they'll give you a solution. But you know what else they give you in that book? They give you a promise. They give people like me that was on a couch wanting to die from lack of hope how to live. My gratitude offsets my hope, or lack of hope, all the time. I'm one of those little, silver lining people. God, I'll find it. There's a story about the pessimist and the optimist, and they put them in a room, and with a lot of unpleasant, I don't know, donkey do or something. And, they give them a shovel, and they give the pessimist the shovel, and they give the optimist the shovel. And the pessimist is out within minutes, because isn't that what we're like now? Jesus, there's no way I'm going to be digging around in this SHIT in here, are you kidding me? I think that this is ridiculous. I'm done. There's, another way to do it. The optimist, he's not coming out. He's just not coming out. And they're knocking on the door and they're saying, come on out. You can't be in there that long. Finally, they have to go in and drag him out. And they said to him, what the hell were you doing in there? He said, look, with all this shit in here, there has to be a donkey somewhere. That's the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. With all this talk we have, with all the sharing we do, with all the literature we have, with all the opinions that people have. For God's sake, there has to be something you could want. For me, it's like, I don't know. Do you know what it's like for me to be able to say, I don't know? Oh my God, a person that's a fixer. I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get my little white horse out and I'm going to ride out into AA and I'm going to fix everything. God knows Glenn was part of that years ago. Well, my horse and I have retired. Horse is out there feeding away in some barn. I'm in Ireland. Most of the time. Not all the time. I'm blessed to have a partner that's sober a ton of years. We have the same language. Oh, to see AA in action in Ireland with my Jane. You have no idea. No idea. She has no idea. The people of greatest service in Alcoholics Anonymous have no idea what they're bringing. They show up no matter what. They sit in their seat no matter what. And they age in those seats and they sit there. Oh, sure. I mean, one time Jane said to me in a meeting, Lila, she said, I don't know if you know this, but when people are talking and you don't like what they're saying, you haven't been to a bad meeting, you haven't been to enough. Okay, let's get real. And she said, you breathe very deeply. I said, what are you talking about? She said, no. I had to watch that because I'm looking around the room. It was the Tuesday night meeting in Santa Monica where you have to be over 10 just to share, And we all started it because we realized that when you're over 10, you really start to find out what these little and below level of consciousness, soul sickness things you really have. You find out how really sick you are. You find out that you have a soul sickness. You find out that there's wounds that you have in your soul that are deeper than anything you ever imagined. You're going to spend the rest of your sobriety trying to fix and soothe and make better. You're going to find out that you're going to have to go through layers of people and families and everything, and they're the ones that don't even have expiration dates on their cans. You just have to move them to the back or figure out where you're going to put them. Oh my God, AA provides it all. All the answers I have ever needed. But I'm not looking for them. I just want to say, I don't know, and will you help me? And thank you. And I get everything that I have ever needed and more hope than I could want. I have a partner that is the delight of my life. I have friends in both countries that are true friends because I know how to be a friend. I live in the solution and I don't live in the problem. And I live in the pause of life, in the stillness, in the pause, in the pause, in the pause. Step one. I'm an alcoholic. Life's unmanageable. That's a step of honesty. Requires a pause. Am I okay today before I open these eyes in the morning? And step two, to be restored. So I have to pause, I have to pay, and I have to proceed in 3. But I have to make that decision in 3 and not do it by myself. Pause, pray, proceed. Every time I hear the Serenity Prayer, which is the only prayer I will pray in Alcoholics Anonymous, God grant me the serenity, accept the things I cannot change. Isn't that what makes me unmanageable? 1. Courage to change the things that I can. Isn't that being restored to be able to have the courage to do that? And the wisdom to know the difference. Am I doing it by myself? Or am I doing it within the help with the God of my own understanding and the people of Alcoholics Anonymous. Pray, pause, pray, proceed. 1, 2, 3. 4 gives me the courage to tell the truth, and 5 with somebody else, and 6, my God. 6 and 7, 10 and 11. They're the whole thing. After 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't even wake up in the morning. 1, 2, 3. Then I make a little circle with my hands, because I'm one of those, like, talk with your hands people. And in the little circle, I put a triangle. I like them. They're kind of AA-ish. And I put 4, 5, 8, and 9 and all the nonsense related to that in that triangle, and I lock it up. And in that little circle, on the left side of the triangle, I put a 6. Step 6. And I put a 7 on the other side. And whatever I'm supposed to handle that day will present itself. And consequently, if step 6 is, and if you read it really carefully, it's a huge thing, huge. It's a step of acceptance, taking responsibility, and cooperating. A-R-C, ARC. And when you go to 7, 7, the magic step, the help me step, that's it. There's no more. You are the shortcoming, in case you haven't figured it out already. My shortcomings. Me. Help me. And when I put H with the ARC, I have an arch. And consequently, I can then walk through that arch and not before and deal with 8 and 9, which is the people in my life, the things that you will be dealing with and have to have the most compassion and care for the rest of your life. But don't worry, because one of the paragraphs before you start to read step 9, run out there like a I'm sorry person, waste of time. They're going to give you the qualities you must have. The qualities you must have. Look them up. First paragraph of the 12 and 12, step 9. Fabulous. You say, hey, do I operate like that? Am I acting as if I have all those things? Because you do. And then I jump into 10. And I tap my little foot, because 10 is at the bottom of the triangle, and I tap my left foot, and I say, yeah, I'm on solid ground now, because I'm in the realm of the spirit. And then I tap my 11th foot, and all that does is remind me, plug into the power, Lila, plug into the power. You've been promised this power, the magnificent reality of Alcoholics Anonymous. The power is there. And I pop out the door. I pop out the door, and I try to be the best representative of the woman alcoholic that I am. Because I have all these qualities, because I am honest, because I have hope, because I have faith, because I have courage, because I can tell the truth and have integrity, because I have acceptance and that arch, and that I know what help means. Because I have compassion, and because I have the balance that they tell me how to have in step 9, I can then go to 10, and I can take a deep breath, and I can say, are you now doing what they have told you you needed to do on the first day you came? Are you protecting your insides, Lila? Do you know now how to spiritually protect and pause and protect yourself? Because when you know that it's an inside job and that you are the only one that can heal it, and you know that your soul is going to be refreshed, and that's how you do it, by taking a journey through these steps and understanding what your role is in it. Only then, when you get to 11, will you say, oh my God, I understand. I understand. And what do you end up with? Less to say is what you end up with. Quieter inside is what you end up with. Hoping everybody gets it is what you end up with. Wishing them well is what you end up with. Understanding and accepting every death you disliked, everything that happened to you, the falling down and the getting up, it's gone. Your yesterday will meet you today, and your tomorrow has not come. But I'm going to tell you something. My tomorrow will have more horror for me than anything that I have occurred in the last 77 years, because it will involve me, and it will involve Jane, and it will involve moments, and it will involve, are we taking advantage of the moments that we have left? Are we taking advantage of that before the horror happens? And will I be ready for it, whatever it is? You're damn right I will. Because I know how to be spiritually fit one day at a time, because I can't afford not to be. I just can't afford it. I don't have the strength to fight this battle without the strength that I have been given all these years. Lamp after lamp, person after person, listening after listening, falling down. And I've been an asshole in AA half the time. I only want to surround myself with kind people, generous people, generous of spirit, like my program of Alcoholics Anonymous. There are no limitations for me in Alcoholics Anonymous, none. If you stagger into this room, I'll catch you, I'll hold you, I'll feed you, I'll make you toast and tea, I'll treat you kindly, but I will not tolerate your ego and your superiority and your being an asshole like I have been. Go do it with somebody else. I'm here for the people that need love and care and support and a nice cup of tea and a slice of toast with jam and a lot of butter. That's my Alcoholics Anonymous. I look for the person in the room that feels like their head might be down in their chest. I notice if somebody's hand moves. I never leave a meeting that I didn't find it better than I left. I pick up the cups. Oh, but I'm one of those. You get to get away with it when you're over 50. You can say to somebody, excuse me, but isn't this the third meeting I've seen you leave your cup here? Would you mind picking it up and putting it in the goddamn kitchen? What, are we afraid of everybody now in AA? Those guys trapped me at the hole in the ground. They trapped me for at least 6 weeks, and they taught me how to have a life. Believe me, I cannot, Glenn, speak to the bullshit anymore. You either get on board and you do it, or you don't. There's tons of people you can talk to about it. Half the meetings are like therapy sessions. Nobody can do this but me. And I have been taught how to do it by the people in front of me. Mary, it's great to see you in this meeting. You have been a dedicated of service member of Alcoholics Anonymous the entire time I met you, since I met you in 1997 at the Women's Convention. Extraordinary soul. Same for you, Glenn and Jane. And my Jane, no idea. And Maggie here. Maggie, you don't even know Maggie. Do you know that Maggie learned to read and write here in Alcoholics Anonymous this year? You met Maggie at the beginning of the meeting because Dee taught her how to read. And the first thing they read were the promises, the first thing she ever read. For God's sake. I'm alive and well and want to spend a lot of years being as content as I am today, because I don't miss the miracles, because I'm so busy solving the problems. I don't know about anything. I don't know what to do about it. Help me. Give me the answer. Thank you. Done. And by the way, I'll do my part, because I'm going to understand these steps and I'm going to make them work for me. And I'm going to find these people that I can talk to who want what I have, and they're going to want to do it too. And isn't that great? So my lamp is well lit. My haystacks are tied down. I've given up expectations of other people so I don't have to torture them anymore. I've learned over the years, as a result of the steps, to no longer, to avoid the fog of life, fear, obligation, and guilt. It's no longer in me. My yesterday has met my today. My tomorrow is in front of me. And today I am sound. And today I have the love in my heart of loving somebody. I love Jane, but I love loving Jane more than I love Jane. I love Maggie. I love Dee. I love the people I have met here in Ireland. I'm so grateful to be home and walking in the footsteps of my ancestors. Sure, and I gave them a lot more credit than they may have been due, but that's okay because I act as if it was real. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you, Glenn.